China has undoubtedly become the fastest growing EV market in the world as their total penetration of EVs improved from around 5% in 2020 to almost 20% by the end of 2021. And unsurprisingly, this has caused a record number of new EV companies to come onto the map throughout China. I've already made my own opinion clear about how I believe that Xpeng Motors and NIO will become the best performing EV stocks outside of Tesla this decade. But surprisingly, Cathie Woods has also come out and placed her bets on Xpeng Motors after ARK Invest's ARKQ ETF bought around $33 million worth of its stock last month. And now that the latest December delivery numbers have finally come out, I think Cathie might just be on the right track. In this video, I'll be analyzing the delivery reports for both Xpeng and NIO and share my thoughts on which one of these EV stocks could perform the best in 2022. But before we get into it, guys, make sure to drop me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's start off with the delivery numbers for both Xpeng Motors and NIO for the fourth quarter, which were released on Saturday. As you guys can see right off the bat, NIO achieved a new quarterly record for deliveries of a total of 91,000 vehicles delivered in 2021. However, as you can see by the growth rates, NIO grew its year-over-year base by around 49.7%. Meanwhile, Xpeng Motors grew its deliveries by 181%. So it's safe to say that Xpeng Motors definitely has more demand for its products, but at the end of the day, it's difficult to make a comparison like that because both companies are selling different types of cars. NIO is selling SUVs, meanwhile Xpeng Motors is selling mostly sedans and compact SUVs. However, the most interesting part about this report is the fact that NIO has been outpaced by Xpeng in the total number of cars they've delivered in 2021. As you guys can see, Xpeng Motors delivered around 98,000 cars, meanwhile NIO delivered only around 91,000. But on the other hand, if you look at the cumulative deliveries, which is essentially the number of cars these companies have sold since they started this journey, Xpeng Motors has sold around 137,000, meanwhile NIO has sold around 167,000. So over the past 4 years, NIO has generally delivered more cars, but Xpeng is catching up very fast. Another thing I'm really liking in Xpeng's delivery report is the fact that their P5 sedan accounted for the second most amount of cars they sold. Obviously, the top car they sold has been the Xpeng P7, which is their mid-size sedan, but the Xpeng P5 sold around 5,000 units as compared to around 3,500 units for the G3i and the G3 SUV. So what this clearly tells me is that there's a lot of demand for these compact sedans that Xpeng is developing, and as the revenue and deliveries for these cars continues to grow, Xpeng should be much more profitable down the road. On the other hand, for NIO, the ES6 was by far their best-selling car this quarter, which means that this car is definitely something you want to keep on watch in terms of margin profitability over the next few quarters. Because it's clear from a demand side that Chinese consumers want to buy some of these more compact SUVs, and as a result, it's going to be incredibly important for NIO to bring this vehicle into their profitability stage. On top of this, in the third quarter, Xpeng and NIO both actually gave some good guidances as to what they expect the total delivery numbers to be in the fourth quarter. As you guys can see, NIO expected that their fourth quarter deliveries would total to around 23,000 to 25,000 EVs. Meanwhile, Xpeng estimated that their total will be around 34,000 to 36,000. And as you guys can see, Xpeng absolutely destroyed that guidance by delivering around 41,000 EVs. And as you guys can see, NIO delivered around a total of 25,000 vehicles, which is right in the middle of their guidance estimate around 23,000 to 25,000 EVs. But overall, I'm very impressed by the delivery numbers for both companies, and even though this time of year is typically very hot for EV sales, these numbers definitely are incredibly impressive and show the true demand of EVs in China. The next most important thing to keep an eye on would be the earnings report for both of these companies, which should come out in January or February of this year, and keep an eye out for that margin for some of their best-selling vehicles. Because what we want to see is the profit margins for these best-selling vehicles to continue to increase, which goes to show that the company is operating at a very high level and they're able to go towards profitability much faster. So now that we've had a look at some of the latest delivery numbers out for Xpeng and NIO, let's compare the performances for both of these stocks over the past year or so to get an idea for which one of these stocks is actually superior. If you've been keeping up with the news for the past 3 quarters or so, it's pretty clear that Xpeng Motors is leading the charge for delivery numbers and revenue growth. As a matter of fact, Xpeng expected its fourth quarter revenue to grow by almost 10,000 cars. Meanwhile, NIO already guided for its fourth quarter deliveries to be down by around 4%. On top of this, Xpeng beat both analyst revenue and earnings estimates in the third quarter, which shows that this company is generally executing at a very high level compared to NIO. And so even though NIO had a much stronger 2020 and a very good start to 2021, Xpeng has clearly overtaken NIO in terms of growth and their financials, since Xpeng actually increased its profit margins from around 3.2% to an impressive 13.6% in the third quarter. What this means is that Xpeng is taking more money to the bottom line from every car it sells, which will only continue to grow as they sell more cars over the next few years. On top of this, the other big reason why Xpeng stock is likely to continue higher in 2022 and potentially outperform NIO is because of the fact that Xpeng has been consistently introducing new models and investing in new technology at a much faster rate than any other Chinese EV maker. As a matter of fact, this company saw its research and development costs nearly double on a year-over-year basis in Q3 to $196.2 million. And this big R&D budget was primarily due to their development of some new models, particularly the Xpeng G9 and the Xpeng P5. And by far the most exciting part is the fact that this new Xpeng P5 model is going to be the world's first sedan to be equipped with LiDAR technology. And it's expected to start at a base price of around $25,000 USD, which is dirt cheap. And as we all know, cheap cars are quite popular in China, so this new P5 model should start selling like hotcakes in 2022 and generally be very profitable for Xpeng Motors. And as we all know, the Tesla Model 3 is kind of what brought Tesla into the profitability spectrum in 2019 and 2020. The Model X and the Model S for Tesla were not very profitable vehicles. Those vehicles were more meant to create a big investor base and a big customer base for the company. And so in my opinion, this Xpeng P5 is going to be the breakthrough model for Xpeng. But the very good news for NIO is that NIO has actually launched 2 new sedans this year that they expect to start delivering in the 4th quarter and the 2nd quarter of next year. And so since sedans are generally more popular in China than SUVs, NIO should start seeing their monthly delivery numbers grow at a much faster rate. And I would not be surprised if the monthly growth starts matching Xpeng's going into the end of 2022 and the start of 2023. Because if you didn't already know, Xpeng's main car that they sell right now is the Xpeng P5, which is a mid-size sedan. And so as a result, I think the ET5 and the ET7 from NIO are definitely a very good step in the right direction for NIO to potentially start catching up to the growth rates of Xpeng Motors. So for me, the bottom line is that if you're looking for that extra edge when investing in the EV space, Xpeng Motors is definitely the better buy. But in my opinion, if you have the extra cash sitting around, then buying both Xpeng Motors and NIO can definitely be a great play for 2022. Because by doing that, you'll be able to get exposure to the faster innovation of Xpeng Motors and the more established SUV and crossover user base of NIO. And regardless of which stock you buy, you're going to be getting exposure to one of the fastest growing EV markets in the entire world, which is China. And regardless of all the FUD around China, it's safe to say that China is going to be a leader in the EV space over the next couple of years, and the growth rates are going to be simply immense. And I can certainly guarantee you that US investors are going to be very enthusiastic about getting the opportunity to invest in that insane growth. But anyways guys, make sure to drop me a thumbs up if you found some value from this video. Let me know down in the comment section below how many shares of Xpeng Motors or NIO stock you guys are holding. And also feel free to let me know your guys' opinions on which one of these stocks is the better buy for 2022. But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.